I'm Jane Applegath. This is the Epic Vision Zone, where bold ideas meet extraordinary leaders. What if shifting the energy in your home reflects the frequency you're becoming and could instantly shift the energy in your life? And what if ease wasn't a luxury, but your superpower waiting to be activated? Margaret Solorio is a woman whose work is reshaping how we think about space, energy, and the unseen currents that influence our daily lives. She is an intuitive guide, energy mentor, and the visionary creator of the Home Frequency Reset. This transformational experience helps clients clear energetic clutter, elevate their environments, and realign with their authentic inner world. Margaret believes our homes hold whispers of our moods, memories, and momentum. Your home isn't just where you live, she says, it's where your frequency lives. Margaret's journey began at a time of achieving and striving that no longer aligned with her authentic truth. Through deep inner listening, energetic shifts, and intentional living, she discovered ease, clarity, and true alignment. Now she guides others to do the very same. Her book, Make Ease Your Vibe: Mindset, Energy, and Time Strategies to Transform Your Daily Vibe, asks, what if ease wasn't just a dream, but your new default that realigns your energy with what really truly matters to you? With a background in biology, mastery in angel Reiki, and sound frequency work, Margaret brings together science and spirituality to help clients create spaces that feel supportive, soothing, and aligned with all possibilities. Today, we explore the intersection of energy, intention, and the spaces that shape us. Welcome, Margaret. Thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm quite excited to be here.
Well, we can't wait to get started on this journey. I expressed a little bit in the bio that your own journey began with burnout and disconnection, which I know a lot of us feel. What was the moment that you realized the answers weren't outside of you, but they were inside?
I think, like many of us, it's definitely a human trait to make that big change when you feel like you have no other choice. For me, it happened during COVID. I had a lot of things going on. My life looked wonderful on paper and from the outside. Inside, I was not feeling the same. It felt like a struggle every day. And then when COVID happened, it felt to me that my horizontal marathon each day was flipped on its axis and was vertical, and everything needed to happen all at once, and it was all on me. That's what it felt like. And so, although I felt I was being crushed, I knew there must be another way. And I knew all the things I was trying to, the world was changing so much, and all the things I was trying to do weren't working. So I thought, well, what's something I do have control of? I have control of my insides, myself, and how I act. So that led me down this personal development journey and figuring out what are the tools and techniques I could do to help myself and to help my family. And it's been obviously a few years now. And I would say, although my life looks very similar as it did 5 years ago from the outside, from the inside out, it's completely transformed. And I really appreciate and enjoy the life I lead. And I know that I have that power to pivot, but that power to also be the lighthouse in my life and attract good and ease.
I love that. The lighthouse in your life. Yeah. And you had the awareness to know that your outside was something different, but you knew that you could control your inside. And that is consciousness, because a lot of us don't realize that. We get caught on a hamster wheel and that we feel that that's just the way it's supposed to be because we're brought up
Yes.
that way, society, right? Culture. So kudos to you for realizing that that's something that we all have and that we all can master, and we're always learning more and more every
Yes.
year and every day. So thank you for that. And by the way, I love that expression, the lighthouse in your life. That's exactly where we're going. So what is energetic clutter then? And how do we know if our home is holding onto it.
Yeah, so everything is energy at its core. If we look subatomically, all those particles are dancing around. They're full of energy. And energy also, so you have this energetic field, and things have energetic fields, and we have living and objects that look like they're just stationary, and they leave this energetic residue. So just over time, you have little energetic residue that builds up in your spaces in your home over time, kind of like dust does. It collects mostly in the corners. Um, Conversations can also have energetic residue. I love to give the example both. I'll first start with people. If you're sitting in a room and your back is towards the door and someone walks into the room silently and you don't hear them, but you feel them, you feel their energy. And often you can also tell who has walked into the room because you recognize that energy. So you are aware of their energetic being and field without even really realizing it. And also, another common example I think we can all relate to is if someone has a disagreement or an argument and you weren't in the space when that happened and it's done, but then you walk into the space, you can very much feel that energy, kind of like a cloud in the room, that something happened and it probably wasn't positive, but that awareness is there. And so those transformational moments, sometimes charged emotions, those have energetic residue too. So knowing if your home has some of this stuck energy is being attuned to yourself and to how you feel, because emotions are energy in motion. So that's how we tune into the energy around us. And so
Mm.
if we care about how we feel, we can tune into that and go, oh, something's off here, and not just tolerate it, but know that something can be done to help it.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And we don't consider our homes as that kind of space. Often, we're in an office with our job, or like you said, we're in a restaurant or a coffee shop, and there's energy, good or bad, or whatever the case might be. But we don't think of the energy that gets stuck in our homes through, like you said, years and years of living there and different things that happen. And that's very interesting because, there often individuals say they're going to sage the space,
Mm-hmm.
and that's to clear the energy and open the windows, to let the
Yeah,
chi in.
exactly. I think
Yeah.
also sometimes we don't give ourselves the benefit of feeling like we deserve that wonderful vibe. I
Mm,
know hosting, a lot of my clients can easily relate to the idea of hosting others and wanting to set the mood or set the vibe. We're talking about energy in different words, but this idea of being welcoming, that your entryway is clear and feels good. So when your guests come in, perhaps you've set music to kind of give that sound energy, or if there are more people, you've cleared a pathway so it's very clear how they will move through the space. There's a lot of thought given to energy when we invite guests over because we want them to feel welcome. We want to have this wonderful experience. And so it's thinking about the way you would cater to others, also then applying that to yourself, because this home that you've created and curated is to be your own sanctuary and your own safe place. And having that wonderful feeling when you walk in every day is making that ease your vibe.
mm. Wow, you just hit on it. That is so profound what you just said, because we will make a vibe or an energy or a mood for our guests, but we don't do that for ourselves. So a mindset reset would be a guest in your own home
A
and
little
just
bit, yeah. Don't just tolerate it. I also think of like um, things that can energetically weigh you down a little bit. So, for instance, I think a lot of us sometimes have a sticky drawer, whether it's your desk drawer or a kitchen drawer or something. It's not a terrible thing, and it's just a little annoying, but it's a little frustrating. And it kind of energetically stirs up that vibration of frustration or anger or annoyance or whatever that negative emotion is for you. And it weighs on you energetically. So, you could dismiss it and bump into it every day and kind of have that energetic weight on you. Or maybe you could spend 5 to 10 minutes and oil or sand whatever needed to be done so that the drawer goes more easily. And then every time you use it, it's an uplifting moment. Hey, look what I did for myself. I took care of myself. So, how little changes that can flip maybe an energetic weight to something that's uplifting.
Yes. Oh, that is such a great advice. Now we've all got to get to work over the holidays. No excuses.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
right. But absolutely, I love that analogy, and thank you for painting that picture of how we set a mood for our guests. So be a guest in your own home and treat yourself like a guest, because we often put ourselves as the secondary individual when we should be the first. Well, you covered a couple of things here in the next question, but maybe there's another one here that's very interesting. I said, how does the energy of our home affect our mood, which you just touched on a bit, our mindset, and even our manifestation ability? That one is the one that fascinates me. So maybe touch on those.
Yeah, so we talked exactly about how emotions are energy in motion, and caring about how you feel gives you that kind of key to your intuition that will lead the way. And when energy builds up, it feels heavy or stuck, or maybe like there's kind of this cloud over things. And that can manifest in different ways. So perhaps communication is difficult. Perhaps when you sit down at your desk, creativity is not flowing. Perhaps you find yourself being kind of emotionally triggered and pulled back to old paradigms and reacting negatively to something that is the old you. That used to be a reaction maybe that kept you safe a long time ago, but is not really relevant to the life that you've built and are living now. So finding those energetic connections and being aware of them allows us to change. And so with opening that door, clearing that energy, allowing for the creativity to flow, for the communication to flow, also is similar for manifestation. So that often has to do with, well, there are two things that come to mind. First, the entryway of our homes is very energetically significant. That's where we welcome guests, that's where we welcome opportunity, that's where we welcome new inspiration. So, keeping that physical area clear of clutter, making it inviting, that means both the outside and the inside. Um, is very energetically significant. That seems to come up regularly in my sessions. And then also letting go. So sometimes we have things in our homes that everything has an emotional charge to it, has an energy to it. But thinking about maybe there's something that you don't need anymore that someone could use more, or it could be given away, or maybe it just needs to be thrown away. And acknowledging the energy attached maybe requires forgiveness. Maybe you just acknowledge that, the time together with that object is done and it can move on. Whatever that energetic attachment is that can be released, allowing that to let go, clearing, literally makes space for new things to come into your life, for new manifestations.
Right. Yes, absolutely. I'm a big proponent of decluttering, even though I reclutter and then I have to declutter, but still, I get it. It's absolutely a must for. Well, that being said, actually, we've got the next step here is home frequency reset, and you've touched a little bit on that. So, what is in your description home frequency reset, and how is it different from traditional decluttering or space clearing? And what is there that's surprising? Was there a shift that a client had and experienced that surprised you with this home frequency reset?
Yeah, so it typically for like decluttering and home organization or home redecorating, that's really physical in the space. What I do is actually a remote service, so tuning in remotely and just energetically and looking at the energy in the space and going room by room. So I start with clients, I ask for an intention for the session. So sometimes I had a client recently who was interested on the communication. She was having difficulty communicating within her family, and they had just moved into a new home. So she wanted to look at that. Or if it I had another client who wanted to connect more with her intuition and was wondering if the energetics were blocking that in her space. So whatever the intention is, and then I'll need a quick sketch of the space. So can be hand drawn, maybe a blueprint of the home, just to show where each room is, so that I can make sure and attend to each one, and the outside if there's any landscaping outside. And then third, if there are any problem areas, so specific areas I should focus on. And then I tune in. I also work with the archangels. My angel Reiki mastery included both Reiki energy healing and mediumship. So sometimes loved ones step in too to help with sessions. And then I go room by room, I clear the energy, I lift it to the angels and they transmute, and then I receive messages. So the angels always give little, my favorite thing is little changes with big impact. I don't want anyone to feel heavy or feel shame, like you have to redo everything to manifest or you have to redo everything in your home to feel good. I don't think that's the point. We are all unique. We all have different things and different decorations and things that bring us joy. The point is to be in tune and make these little shifts that can just better support you and who you are becoming. And those are usually the tips that the angels bring in. So whether it's some spaces could use benefit with a certain type of crystal to help, or if the space seems energetically out of balance, sometimes they will give decorating techniques. Sometimes they'll point to, I had one client where I saw in my mind's eye she had lots of big car parts at the front of her driveway, and her intention was to move, how to get the energy flowing through her business more and bring new opportunities. And so that was the entryway to her home that was very clearly had some piles of stuff that was being resistant to energy. And so I said, I wrote in the notes, I always do a report afterwards that I sent to my clients. Oh, it looks like you've got some big things in the front yard that could be moved to the backyard so they don't impede that flow. And she validated and she said, yeah, her boyfriend was a car mechanic and kept old car parts out front, and she had wanted him to move them anyway. So it's fun being remote because it validates some of the work because I didn't see it in person. I just saw the messages that were received. But also it's always surprising. There's always every person in every situation in every space is so unique. There's always something that comes up. So just trusting that is a lot of the joy for me.
Yes, that's a wonderful combination that you have, receiving messages from the archangels, along with your ability to understand or feel the space that's there. That's quite a gift to do both. Well, thank you for that information. And you say that, I love that this, maybe in your book as well, you say that homes hold whispers of our moods and memories. That's for sure. So, how does someone begin to decode their space from past emotional frequencies of stress, save, trauma, all of those and more in their own space?
Yes, that can be very big and very heavy. So again, I always appreciate and recommend just little steps. Everything counts, and you're kind of building the evidence up for your ego. So if you can give yourself the support and the strength to make one decision, then that can usually lead to more, or you can completely transform. As we talked about earlier, really paying attention to how you feel and not just dismissing it and tolerating things that irk your energy, for lack of a better term. For me, small changes that had big impact included chipped bowls. So in like cereal bowls and soup bowls in our kitchen. And when I grew up, you didn't throw anything away unless you completely could not use it in any way, shape, or form. So this was an old paradigm I was living under. And now I'm the adult in my household. And it was just making me sad when I washed them, when I put them away, when I set the table, I'd give everyone else in the family nice ones and me the chipped one, and I'd feel even worse. And it was really a drag day after day until I realized, wait, this isn't a big, it's okay to let that go. I can make that decision. And so nobody wants chip bowls. I threw them away. And then I went to the store and bought myself a new set. And it's been years and I still get excited to use them when I go into the kitchen cabinet. So it's again, little thing, or the towels. I had bath towels for my family that were worn and mismatched. And again, that was something I grew up with. I grew up with worn, mismatched towels, and you don't throw it away unless you can't use it totally. But I felt sad. I have these beautiful children and I would wrap them in these towels and it just felt insufficient. And it didn't feel like the life I wanted to lead. So I decided to invest in that and a company that I was proud to purchase from that matched and that were nice and fluffy and absorbent and all the things I wanted. And it's great. And it's been years and they held up, and it's just a little investment that kind of really brought it back, and it builds. So I think listening to those whispers and not just believing that it can be a little bit better for you too holds a lot of weight and gives you that power to make that decision for yourself to change something.
Okay, Margaret, those are so powerful because we all, I mean, I've done that too. I mean, in my
Yeah,
day and
we
age,
all
yeah, you
did.
don't throw things away. And it's like, oh, well,
Yeah.
this was my grandmother's, but even though it's chipped and cracked, do I really want to throw it away because it holds this? It's like, but then I never want to use it because, it might fall apart and it's not attractive because it's chipped and cracked. But wow, those are great, simple steps that everybody can take. And I'm the same with the towels. Oh my gosh, you'll use them and use them and use them until, you know what, these aren't even drying anymore. I can see right through them.
Right.
It's like, it's
It's true.
ridiculous. It's true. And it's like, I love those suggestions, and everyone can take advantage of those for sure. Well, maybe there's a couple of others. I wanted to ask you, what are three simple ways that someone can shift the energy in their home today that would create the biggest ripple effect? Now, you've mentioned
For
those. Is there anything else?
Yeah, I would say in most of my sessions, there are three kind of topics that come up every time. The first is air, and you actually mentioned this earlier. Opening a window, that's my favorite. I try every day to open windows in the house and just to get the airflow. I actually, when I do sessions, I see energy like currents, kind of like you would see on a weather map where they draw those arrows and they show you the air currents. That's kind of how it flows through your house. So just kind of restarting that and giving it a refresh by opening the windows for a few minutes can really lift up the space. If you can't open a window, you can think about changing the frequency by maybe spritzing an essential oil spray, or lighting a natural scented candle, something that kind of lifts the space and makes you feel better. This is all about you being supported and feeling good and enjoying your best. So air, and then light. I think lighting is again something we often easily just tolerate and isn't maybe good for us. A lot of us live in houses that were built by someone else, so the lighting that comes with it is a given, and maybe we don't think about it. For me, like having overhead lighting at night is really jarring. So I've put more lamps in my home so we can have low lighting in the evenings, and that helps for a more natural transition to the night for us. So walking around your space and thinking about the lighting or the desk, where you work, is that really supporting and helping you focus? There now with the LED and all the natural lights, there are lots of options and it's not that expensive and can really make a difference. So air and light, and lastly, nature. I think we're built to be in nature. We're all refreshed with nature. It's a really great frequency to tune to. So you can do that in so many different ways. I often suggest thinking about your favorite sense. I really like my sense of sight. I'm a visual person, so I have lots of nature prints around, prints of mountains and different things around my house. Bringing in actual plants absolutely works. If you're someone who's loves their sense of hearing, then maybe you want to play nature sounds lightly in the background in your home, or smell. You can, whatever kind of, it's that subtle vibe in the background that just lifts everything up that you're going for, that makes you smile when you pass it or when you hear it. Think of lifting that energy that way.
Those are fabulous. I love that. So air, light, and sound. So it's
Yeah, or
it's
nature, some sort
or
of nature
nature.
element.
Right. Right. So it's stimulating your senses, which
Exactly.
stimulates your energy, one way or
Yes.
the other, not necessarily to lift you up or down, but just whatever it is that resonates with you. And therefore,
Yeah,
yeah.
you
Go
want a
ahead.
bit of a refresh. We think a lot about all these things that pull on our energy and all the things we have to do and being so tired at the end of the day. But that doesn't have to be. You can still do lots of things and accomplish things and feel refreshed or feel good or feel calm or feel ease. So finding those little moments, those positive energetic anchors throughout your day that could help support you feeling good all the time, that's what we're aiming for.
Yes, I love that. Those are great tips. Thank you. And so easy too. It's not a total rehaul like you said, small steps.
Oh,
Yeah. And then you can,
yeah.
then you tackle the bigger ones possibly, or just those steps alone could help with the energy. Absolutely. Well, how do you blend intuition then and energy work when working with client spaces? I think you may have mentioned that with tuning into the archangels.
Yes, exactly. That's how it works for me. So, when we talk about energetic weight, when I learned about mediumship, you learn to discern the different energetic weight of your thoughts. So, intuitive thoughts, for me, they come as a whisper. They're much lighter and airier energetic weight of the thoughts, if that makes sense. And then the ego comes in, and those are much heavier handed. My ego's often not so nice to me. They're like, when your ego says, "Oh no, you're not good enough for that," or whatever those thoughts, those negative thoughts come in. That's usually your ego trying to keep you safe and not be uncomfortable, even though uncomfortable gets you to growth. So discerning, like you were talking about earlier, that sometimes we forget that we are not our own thoughts, that we can observe our thoughts, and that our energetic being is our spirit is separate from those thoughts. The mind and the soul are different pieces that work together. So recognizing that intuitive, and then that's how I've learned to become a channel and to open and to receive the messages from the other side.
That must have taken some practice, I would think.
It does take a lot of practice, yes, because it's your ego's really loud. My ego's really loud. So learning to discern and then choose otherwise, and change your frequency basically to allow that piece to your mind to rest and your intuition to take over.
Right. Wow, that's fabulous. Well, I love all of these tips and everything that you were saying here. So, your book, Make Ease Your Vibe, you say, what if ease became your default? What does ease truly look like or feel like in a person's daily life? And give us some insight into your book.
Thank you. Yeah, so this came from the first 3 years of my work and getting into energy work, where like we talked about, COVID was just so overwhelming and my life was so overwhelming. What could I do to change that from the inside out? And so for me, that ended up being mindset, energy, and time strategies. So, mindset, we've talked a little bit about, but that was a lot of that negative self talk. How can I flip the script? How can I choose my second thought? How can I get off the thought train that I've been on for years and years and choose a new one? The energy piece was a lot about recognizing that I am energy, recognizing this has to do a little bit with law of attraction and manifestation, but that you are the energetic magnet in your life and that the world um, reflects that back to you. And so for me, the biggest example for that was my morning routine. I would, before this wake up in the morning, and I'd spend the first couple of minutes before I even got out of bed feeling like I put armor on in this race against time, like it was me against the day, and I was just going to fight my way through it. And it felt really heavy and terrible. And I always felt like I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. And that's how I would start my morning. And that's what was reflected back. Everyone else in the family felt stressed. Things always came up that made it so I didn't have enough time. There were extra chores to do or whatever it was. It was kind of this cosmic order that I put out was then reflected back to me. And then I realized that I could change that cosmic order and say I have more than enough time. And in the beginning, of course, I didn't believe it. I had to practice to get to a point where I saw those results and could see the impact that changing my frequency, my magnet, internal magnet, that reflection back to me. I have more than enough time, and things didn't seem to go faster, but everything happened more easily, and we were early. And I would always be amazed. I'm still amazed when it happens. But doing those cosmic orders and understanding how I didn't know beforehand that everything was energy, or that everything that we use now are manifestations of someone's previous thought. So I talk about how that works. And I think once we bring awareness to how energy is everywhere and works around us, we can use it to our benefit and help us maintain our own and manage our own energy. And then lastly, the time strategies. So, like I mentioned, my struggle was with time. I think a lot of us are taught from an early age, and then when we get a regular job working for someone else, you're paid often based on time. So your value is not the what you produce or what you do, but how much time you're sitting in that chair or whatever you're doing. And so it's really the default for me was to apply that to the rest of my life. Oh, I need this much time to do that and that much time to that. And then I add up the time and go, there's no way I can get all that done in the hours I have. And the math never worked. And then when I realized one of my favorite expressions is time is squishy. Like if you think about when we have some expressions where like time flies when you're having a good time, or when something's really painful, a minute can feel like 5 hours. So the time is what we experience. This goes back to the energy work I do now, where if you care about how you feel and the experience you have, that is where the value is, not the numbers of how much time you spent. So I talk a lot about changing, evolving that relationship with time, and it's
Mm-hmm.
allowed me to get way more done in way less time. One of my best uh, teachers and examples of that was actually writing this book. So it's always been a lifelong dream of mine to write a book. And I thought, well, that means I have to buy myself a ticket and go to Bali and spend 6 weeks and not talk to anyone, and I'll pump out this great book. And I was like, well, that's not really practical in my current life circumstance. So I said, well, I'm just going to set a timer after dinner every day, 15 minutes, and write and see what happens. And honest to goodness, 6 weeks later, I had the first draft done. And it blew my mind because it just didn't, with what I had previously learned, it didn't make sense. But what I was learning now, when you open that door to anything is possible and allow the flow and the ease, you and don't restrict yourself with it has to be done this way. It can happen so easily and so beautifully, and you just kind of keep going, and that's the ease that I desire for myself and for everyone else.
Boy, wouldn't the world be a magnificent place if we all had that ease? Oh my gosh. I mean, everybody
Yeah,
would
that
be in a good
trust.
mood. It would be, it's
Yeah.
like, what's wrong with everybody? But absolutely, yes, it's definitely a practice because you're right.
Yes.
What you said is that we're valued for our time. Oh my gosh, I never thought of that. As a work, I've had corporate jobs as well, and yeah, they don't because they often don't value the individual, as we've seen in many instances. Even today, you could have been with a company for years, and it's like, well, we're downsizing, so see you later. It's like, okay, we you were good while you were here, but yeah, that is, yeah, so interesting that time is what we value in let's say the traditional sense, but
Hmm.
yeah, the value really comes from the human experience, the human being, the creativity, or what
Yeah,
we
how
bring.
you feel
Yeah.
when you go through your day and what you can get done and what lights you up. And, when you're in a good mood, you can we talk so often in our society about a negative spiral. One thing leads to the next, but the same is true for a positive spiral. If you put yourself in a good position and say, oh, I feel good, then you have more clarity to make the next decision, or you have more patience with the next person. It kind of spirals in a positive direction too.
Yes, absolutely. I always say the universe is always listening. It's like you said, you'd
Yes.
wake up and say, I don't have enough time. Well, okay, then you don't.
Done. Thanks for the request.
Exactly. Exactly. So be careful of your thoughts and your words, and that's a practice too, because we've been
Yeah.
conditioned, right, over
Yeah.
and over.
So I used to tell myself all the time, old habits die hard, but new habits come on strong. So you might not be able to pick that first thought because it's such a habit, but you can pick the second one. And like you said, it's just a practice over time. Then you lean more in the majority of thoughts towards what you're going for.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, what signs should someone look for then in their space that will suggest to them that they need an energetic reset? Is there signs that people could feel or see?
It's definitely about feeling. Usually, the clients come to me, they've tried what they know. So, if you've had a big life change, so if you're selling a house, or if you've just moved into a new house, or if you're bringing a new member of the family into the home, or if there's been some big life change and now your situation looks different, that's usually a good indicator where it's great to kind of just like if you purchased a home, you'd repaint all the walls because you'd want a clean, fresh start. Energetically, that's a great time to do it. But otherwise, if someone's doing their own personal development work and they live in their home or something has come up, it's usually a noticing that they've done the work and it's not quite flowing. It's not quite going the way they want. And so, this understanding that everything is energy and there is this unseen piece, well, then great. How can we work with that energy? How can we clear it out and let things start to flow again?
Right. Okay. So awareness, be aware of
Yeah,
those
care about how
shifts.
you yeah, care about how you feel and trust yourself that it's okay that you want to feel good. That's a good thing. Sometimes we don't even let ourselves feel good. And then knowing that there's more support, that, yeah, you can build this home or this life or this workspace that supports you. It's a good thing to be unique and to be individual. We each have different needs and wants and joys. And so to cater to that, like we talked about earlier, it's just starting that positive spiral. You're supporting yourself to be able to help others or to be that lighthouse.
Yes. Well, you have biotechnology and spiritual energy as a combination. You merge both of those in your work. So, how do these two worlds support each other in your practice? Have we touched on that? I know we had talked about the archangels. What is the biotechnology part?
That right now has some more to do with method. So I was trained as a scientist first, and I appreciate evidence. I appreciate that's, I think, why I do such detailed reports afterwards. I always collect all my observations. I think it helps. Biotechnology is very interdisciplinary. We worked with, or when I did it more directly, natural systems and than man-made or human-made technology together. So this is an instance where we're bringing together physical spaces and energetic spaces. So again, it feels interdisciplinary, or if it's the Reiki and the mediumship, we're bringing two things together, which I really appreciate. Also working on that unseen level. When I worked as a scientist, it was a lot of microscopic and small things. So we're all these biological impacts that you couldn't necessarily easily see in the natural world. And I feel that way about energy too. It's with us, it's around us. We feel all the time. We're energetic beings, but we forget because we don't see it. So bringing awareness to that truth and shining that light. And also for me, it feels innovative. So biotechnology is often kind of on the edge of some of that science, looking for new ways and new solutions, or how can we use what we've got in different ways. And this energetic work feels very similar. A lot of times my clients have tried different spiritual practices or personal development routines that they know, but what's something that we could take, make a little shift with what you have and look at it in a new perspective or clear the energy. It brings in that new element.
Yes, I could see where those modalities would definitely come together. Absolutely. It's like I used to be a television producer, so when I do these interviews, I'm super prepared. It's like you use what your past experiences, and often it can add on to what you're teaching. So yes, and like you said, those detailed reports that you provide, I'm sure that's definitely from your background, folks. So
I think so
that's
too.
wonderful. Yeah, that elevates you to a different level. So that's wonderful. So you're like myself. You got the left and the right brain, because I
Yes,
love it.
exactly.
Yeah. And like you said, biotechnology leads to exploration and innovation. And that's really, even though this energy has been here all along, but we're just now accepting it. It's like Margaret and I had a conversation just before she came on, and we were talking about how all of this realm of knowing we're energy sources and that everything is an energy. It's now just blossoming. and it's coming to the forefront, whereas it's been here all along, but we just either didn't accept it or didn't acknowledge it, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. There's being more evidence collected and done, but it has been for thousands of years. People have been doing
Yes.
energy work.
Yes, absolutely. Well, how does our environment then amplify or soften the inherited energies that we carry from family, history, or experiences?
This is one of my favorite points that I actually learned fairly recently in the last year, I would say, that when we do make positive energetic changes and shifts in ourselves, that it does have these ripple effects across
Yes.
generations and across the veil, so to speak. It'll go in the past, in the present, in the future, and to the other side, it can help loved ones. So any work that you do on yourself is helpful for so many others energetically, because we all have those energetic cords, they call them, ties to each other. So there definitely are ripple effects. And then we can think of that the other way too, which is usually more often what comes up in my work, that the things in your home you have energetic ties to. So where are those emotional triggers? If you walk past something or if you use something and it doesn't make you feel good, or it reminds you of a previous time, or it puts you back when you were a kid and that wasn't maybe a positive experience, where are those moments where you're feeling shame or embarrassment or some sort of negative emotion that's being emotionally triggered, tied to the object when, it's taking you out of the present moment. So being aware of that and acknowledging it can be powerful in itself. But thinking then about if you're curating your space, maybe that's not the healthiest thing for you. You can find a way to forgive and let go.
Yes. I love that. Thank you for that information. Well, here's a question. What is one word that describes the energy that you want people to feel when they walk into their home?
I want them to feel loved. I think we don't get to enjoy that as much, and working with angels and with spirit is love, so that is that powerful reflection. I think sometimes we save that, like you said, we like to put ourselves last on the list, or we wait to feel good till we're on vacation. But what's that feeling of opening wherever you're staying on vacation and you feel that exhale and that relief? To feel that feeling at home, to feel that support, to feel that love of your space, and to know it's there for you. It's not being a little more intentional. You didn't just create a shelter because you need to. Maybe you did, but most of us are past that. We have it because we want a certain type of shelter or space or home, or creating this experience that is our life. So feeling that love reflected back to you when you walk into your space, that's that's my wish.
It's like giving yourself a hug when you walk inside the door.
Yeah, exactly. I actually talked to my home. I haven't named the home. I know I've named my car. Some people name their stuff, but it's just recognizing the energy, right? Like, oh, home, thanks, or hi, I'm so happy to be back. Those kind
Yeah,
of little chats.
that's wonderful. It's I don't know that very many people have that. I mean, even wealthy people have these ginormous mansions, which I can't fathom. I mean, they look like hotels. It's like, really? But that being aside, it's like, how could that feel warm and loving to walk into like what I would call a mausoleum? Because they're just so impersonal. And so, but that being said, wouldn't it be wonderful for those individuals to walk in and say, oh, I just feel so loved here? You know, yeah.
Yeah, and have it be an expression of positive emotion and not of like, yeah, maybe if you're showing off, there's some emotion there that needs to be dealt with, but have it feel comforting and aligned with who you are becoming, and not just who you were.
Yes, yes. And that often happens. I see it sometimes when people are shopping for homes. They'll walk in and they go, no, there's no character in this house. And character is, I think, another way of saying there's no warmth in the house. It's just brick and mortar, and it's a shelter, like you said, but it's not a home. So, yeah,
Mm.
it's very important because that's where we spend half our life, or, obviously if you move around, but certainly a very important aspect of our lives. So, Margaret, if you could deliver one message to the world, what would that be?
I actually think about this a lot, so I was pretty excited to see it on that you would be asking me this. Kindness. I
Mm,
hopefully it's not too morbid, but I hope when I die and I get a gravestone, it just says kindness on it. I hope everyone is kind to themselves and in turn others. I think first of all, it's an advantageous for you to attune yourself to that frequency because like we talked about, the world reflects back to you what you are. So if you operate at a level of kindness, I can only imagine the opportunities that will come back to you, and knowing also that you have that choice of how you feel. That doesn't have to be dictated. You can choose to be kind. And I think also if you're kind to yourself, you're acknowledging that you are enough just as you are in this moment. You're giving yourself that grace. If you want to change and up level, that's great, but you have this base kind of respect going, yeah, I deserve it now and I deserve it then, but I'm moving, I'm doing, and things are continuing to get better and better. And that also kind of gives you respect for all the other spiritual beings around. When you realize we're all energy, that gave me real insight into we're all the same and we're all different at the same time, but we're all doing the best we can. And I think it's helpful to be kind to others because we never know everything everyone's going through. Like you said, we all have a million thoughts in our heads we're trying to process all the time. So I think a kindness practice also acknowledges that, and that energy is felt. I think when you interact with others, they appreciate when you give them that little piece of attention, or you give them the benefit of the doubt by choosing kindness first. That is not only rewarded, but it's really appreciated. And appreciation and love are the highest vibrations there are. So to operate at that level is
yeah.
is definitely a goal or a wish for everyone.
Mm, yes, I love that. It's wonderful because when you show someone kindness, it comes back to you.
It always comes back in multiple fold. Yes, it's if nothing completely advantageous for you, but it feels good too. And the goal here is to feel good. And I love that it comes with love and appreciation and respect.
Yes. Yeah, I'm with you there. I love that. Thank you so much for that. Well, Margaret, tell our audience how best to connect with you and where they can purchase your book.
Oh, thank you so much. You can find me at my website, Delicious Ease, ease.com. And I've actually got a free quiz if anyone's interested. It's called Is Your Home Supporting Your Expansion? So that's deliciousease.com/quiz. That allows you to get more information and start to understand these energy dynamics in your home. I have a podcast. It's called Intuitive Wisdom. So you can find me there. There are new episodes each week. And then my book is available on Amazon. So it's in paperback and Kindle versions. You can search Make Easier Vibe or my name, K. Margaret Solorio. And I actually just finished my first draft of my second book. So hopefully in the next 6 months, I've got another one to share too.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for sharing that. Do connect with us when you get your second book because I would love for our audience to hear all about it. Definitely. So thank you
Oh,
for
thank
that.
you.
And all of that information will be available on our Epic Vision Zone bio pages, by the way. And because we are here on the Epic Vision Zone, Margaret, I have one last question. If your life were an epic story, what would the title be?
Oh, that's a very good question. What would the title be? I've been thinking about that and I haven't come up with an answer. So let's see. Um, Evolving kindness.
Mm,
I think I like the idea of always learning and growing. It's what keeps me alive. And for me, it feels like an evolution, less than a change. I like to acknowledge where I came from, but also where I'm going. And so that evolution feels more apropos, appropriate. And then this kindness practice has really meant a lot to me in being kind to myself and to others and just giving that moment. It almost also makes you pause and savor. And we talk so much about
Yes.
experiencing life and giving that pause to have a moment to savor and appreciate. So, evolving kindness, I'm constantly learning and growing and searching. And so I think that fits.
Yes, I can see that absolutely fitting. It encompasses so much. Well, thank you again, Kay Margaret, for joining us here today and reminding us to make ease our vibe, especially in the spaces that we call home. And again, for information and to connect with Kay Margaret, go to our Epic Vision Zone bio pages where you will find all of her social media and her direct contact information and book information. And be sure to follow me on Instagram at Jane Applegath. Look me up at janeapplegath.com and like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Epic Vision Zone. Sending you so much love and gratitude. Until next time, stay visionary, lead with love, stay epic. This is the Epic Vision Zone where bold ideas meet extraordinary leaders, and it begins with one epic conversation.